I actually have, I believe we shared it last week, the special edition coin. I don't have it finished yet. This is what last year's one looked like. It's going to be a little bit difficult to see. It's basically a commemorative challenge coin, if you want to call it, but commemorative coin is another one. It's black and gold, and this year we're going to be giving the participants in the Stack Pavilion specifically that coin, but there will be 2 editions this year. We're changing it up. The black and gold is going to be for moving forward for anyone who does the pavilion for the first time. So if you are like Infinite, you'll get a black and gold one. It'll say 2025, so it'll have the year on it. And then if you're doing it for the second time, you get a white and silver. I have no idea what I'm going to be doing for the third. Maybe a yellow and a bronze. I don't really know. Whatever it is, that is what we're going to do for the returning exhibitors like Compound Solutions, Ghost, and so they'll get a commemorative coin with 2025 on them as well. And then another bit of information that we have to share, which I'm very excited about, and we haven't even put this out on the site, mostly because I'm waiting until the design's done. But last year, if you went to the Arnold Expo, you may remember we were giving out free shirts. They had special edition designs inspired by the classic ones we had seen from Optimum Nutrition over the years. There are a few others who have done them, but like the cool emblem on the center of the shirt, designed for the year and the event specifically. I remember Optimum did it for the Arnold and Olympia. Might have done it for some others. I wanted to replicate that. It was just a really cool memory for me. And so we did that for the first year and we gave them out. This year, I have been allotted more t-shirts and we're going to put them to a slightly even better use. So we're not sure how it's going to be set up, but basically, and we don't know the figure yet, but there'll be a certain spend amount. So let's just say, this isn't real, but let's just say it's $50. If you spend $50 on a single brand or collection of brands at the Stack Pavilion, so say it's 25 here, 25 there, 20 here, 30 there, or 50 there, you can then go and get one of the shirts for free. It is both we just wanted to give back as much as we could to the exhibitors, to anyone we could that's taking part, and I just felt this was a great way to do it. Last year we did give them out, and I might still give some of them out because we do have slightly more, but I thought it would be just really cool to give back. And we have a few other things that we are doing in the Stack Pavilion at the Arnold Expo, similar to this, which will be announced leading up to it, including the Executive Pass, which for those of you who are industry workers, buyers, retailers, distributors, even brands that may be interested in exhibiting next year and just want to check it out, that's who the Executive Pass is for. Suppliers, ingredient companies as well on there. Basically, you'll just have to reach out via a form or email me or reach out on social media and we'll put your name on the list. And then when the day comes around, you just head over to the badge pickup to provide your name and you'll get like a nice little pass that says Executive Pass on it, and it will give you the ability to get into the show an hour before it opens, which is extremely important if you've ever been there and tried to discuss business on the floor when it's lit. You are shit out of luck. It is ridiculously busy and just very hard to kind of have a meaningful conversation while still having your voice come Sunday. So that was what that was designed for. It was a huge success last year and we're bringing it back and we'll be announcing January. I think last year we opened it up December, but then we realized that people don't really make plans that far out. So we're going to be opening it up in January just to kind of capture the people who are probably booking at the time. So yeah, that'll be out there soon on the site, but now we're going to get into the updates and announcements, and it was a big damn week. It's not as busy as tends to be what the case is in December, but the innovations are popping and exciting, and we're going to kick things off with General Mills, who earlier this year, you may remember, did a Wheaties protein cereal. So it was basically intended to be similar to the classic nostalgic Wheaties cereal, but with extra protein, and I will commend them. They did put 20 grams of protein in there. With that being said, there were a bit more calories in tow, so not your magic spoon or anything like that. But I loved the effort. I really appreciate it when big brands, like if Coca-Cola did a protein soda. Now, yes, it might taste horrible. The concept sounds crazy, but when you can normalize something like that, right? If Oreo did a protein version, like even if it was 10 grams, you normalize things like that. That really, really does help. And the same goes when you can do formats like if you did a candy bar or an energy drink, or something that a more mainstream consumer can recognize, and you bring protein, lower sugar, some functional ingredients to it, it really helps normalize that sort of thing and opens up people to that industry. And yeah, so I applaud General Mills for doing it. Now they've come back and they're doing very much the same again with Cheerios Protein Cereal. However, I will note the protein count on this is not as good. It's 8 grams per serving. In saying that, it is a smaller serving size than the Wheaties protein. But either way, it's still nothing like I said, like a magic spoon. Basically designed to replicate that Cheerios experience, but in the form with a bit of extra protein. So it's 8 grams per serving. That is a 37 gram serving, so not huge. Still a fair amount of carbs, 24 grams of carbs. Half of that is sugar. So it's not, like I said, you're not getting that super lean health and nutrition approach, right? Don't expect a 20 grams of protein, 200 calorie type thing. The stuff that people within the industry look for and live that lifestyle do. But I commend them for normalizing it, because this ain't going in the health and nutrition aisle. This will be going in the cereal aisle, and I got to give it up to them again. And I thought it was interesting that when they announced this, they put like a little piece beside it, highlighting that 71% of consumers, 70% of consumers, just over 70% of consumers are looking for protein, like higher protein things for their diet. So this is essentially to answer that. Hey, I'm looking for extra protein. Here's cereal with protein, and it's a good, like I said, it's not coming from someone who we pay attention to the macros. We look forward. When we get a protein powder, we make sure it's not 200 calories to 25 grams of protein, right? That's eventually somewhere where people get, but this is a great way to just bring them in, get them knowledgeable on protein and just aware of certain things. And I think it's a great stepping stone, and can always lead to people going, maybe protein powder's not so bad, maybe, and so on. So big ups to General Mills for doing that and just following up. That's 2 protein cereals in a year. And there are 2 flavors for Cheerios Protein as well, and they are cinnamon and strawberry. Next up, I think we might keep it in the cereal aisle or the cereal theme, because Dymatize came out and announced, actually there's a couple things from Dymatize now that I think about it. They announced a brand new protein RTD. So this isn't, they've done protein shakes before. This is a completely new one. So this isn't like a flavor, 2 flavors of one of something else. This is an all new protein shake. It's called the Performance Protein Shake. And it specifically has 2 authentic cereal flavors. They are the 2 that we obviously saw when Dymatize partnered up with Post, and it is Cocoa Pebbles and Fruity Pebbles, cereal themed, of course. And so they've taken those flavors that were originally available for ISO 100, eventually expanded to other supplements, and they've now built them out for the Performance Protein Shake. It looks, I have to imagine, it is delicious. Anytime you get a protein RTD version of a protein powder, it almost always tastes, I will say it depends. Like if you're used to making your shake with water like I do, and you begin to have a shit palate basically. You're like, oh, this tastes amazing. But if you come from a milk base, water tastes horrible. When you go to these protein RTDs, they manage to find a really damn good balance. They almost always find a great balance of something that tastes good. It's not that complete water base. And they just deliver a bit of flavor. So I suspect we're going to get that in the Dymatize Performance Protein Shake with the Fruity Pebbles, Cocoa Pebbles. And the nutrition profile is not too bad. Just bringing it up now. It was 25, 30 grams? 30 grams of protein in an 11.5 ounce bottle, 2 grams of carbs, half of that sugar, so just 1 gram of sugar, 3 grams of fat, and 160 calories. So don't be put off by the calories. Like I said, it's 30 grams of protein, so that's 160 calories for 30 grams of protein. If traditionally you see 25 grams of protein and you might have seen 160 calories, you would think that's a bit too high, but what's that? That's about 140 calories at 25 protein. Scale it down, maybe 130. So the balance is there. It's just that 30 grams of protein juices it up a bit, and that's the same for both flavors. But in addition to the Performance Protein Shake, Dymatize announced a pre-workout, and I was surprised by this. I was quite surprised. I see the point of it. I guess I just was surprised by the way it was promoted, or I guess pitched. So when you think pre-workout, you think, especially these days, citrulline, beta-alanine, alpha-GPC, caffeine, the betaine, the staples, right? You get the energy, focus, pumps, and performance, the core ingredients, and that just tends to be what it is. Now, when I heard Energize pre-workout, especially the name Energize, I was like, okay, this is fantastic. Been a long time since we've seen Dymatize in pre-workouts, well, like something new for the space. They have been in there before. If you're a long-time fan, you will remember the Expand days. They've definitely dabbled in it. But the new supplement Energize, spelled with a Y, so not the I. It's more along the lines of amino energy, and it's not to knock it. Again, I'm not saying everything has its purpose to some extent. But I just guess that when you hear the word pre-workout, you don't think a primarily amino-based supplement like amino energy. If you say, hey, this is a pre-workout called amino energy, it says it in the name. You're like, sweet, there's gonna be aminos, and there's a lot of them. This is called Energize. It's a pre-workout. The serving size is 13 grams. 5 grams of that is BCAAs. Then you get 4 grams of citrulline, so not a huge dose. I usually prefer at minimum 6 straight. 4 grams not too bad though, I guess, if it's on the lighter side. Half a gram of tyrosine for focus, 50 milligrams of theanine, and then 150 milligrams of natural caffeine. So these amounts, to be honest, are sort of what you'd, like if you saw this in a big pre-workout, like some of those cost-effective ones where they try and walk the line where like, hey, this will suffice, but you do have room to double. This kind of feels like that. At 150, you could double to 300 caffeine. That would give you 8 grams citrulline, a gram of tyrosine. That becomes a much more competitive pre-workout. Then you have the BCAAs at 5 grams. They'll double to 10. No harm there. But the catch is, and this was always going to be the case, was this is 30 servings per tub. So if you double, you get 15, but the price is $30. So you are paying $29.99 for this thing. And again, not to knock it, I just think it's more along the lines of like an amino energy type thing. If I saw the formula, I might have actually just said like, oh, this is amino, like an amino energy-esque, not necessarily a flat out pre-workout. But that's out there now. Dymatize Energize. It's available from Walmart, Amazon, and Target. 29, I think they vary. It's like 29 and a few cents or whatever, and just under 30 for 30 servings. 3 flavors to choose from. Strawberry lemonade, lemon lime, and peach mango. So yeah, protein shakes and a pre-workout is all the rage right now over at Dymatize. Next up, we are going to jump to MyProtein, who did something very different, and I gotta give it up to them. While they were not the first to do authentic collaborations, they have been probably one of the best, and quietly. So MyProtein has done different collaborations for different parts of the world for the last few years, and they've also not religiously stuck with like candies and foods that you don't have a taste associated with. And I do really like it when brands do this, and I think people underestimate how difficult that is. Like if you make a Superman protein powder, what the hell does that taste like? If you make an Oreo protein powder, not that that's easy, but the consumer has an idea of what to expect, right? And so if you make Superman or whatever, you have to attach a taste. And you then have to make sure that taste kind of like not only hits, but resonates and stuff like that. And MyProtein has done a lot of them, and they've been very fun to see. Now, its latest, I gotta say, big ups to them, because it's really good when you see a new type of collaboration. Dymatize was the first to ever do an authentic cereal collaboration. Now, we have seen cereal-themed flavors. We've seen flavors with cereal pieces in it. We had never seen a brand team up with an actual cereal company to make a flavor. MyProtein has precisely that. It is the first one that I'm pretty sure it's the first one in history to partner with an alcohol company. So we have seen cocktails, we have seen alcohol beverage type flavors for pre-workouts, aminos. Many of them, pina colada is somewhat of a staple in some categories. Definitely not rare. Seen it a few times. Tigers. There's several that have that kind of cocktail theme to them. MyProtein has got together with the whiskey legend, no less, Southern Comfort, and they've made a flavor of their Origin pre-workout, basically whiskey sour. And yeah, they made it in partnership with Southern Comfort, and I got to give it to them. And I saw a few comments, sort of like interesting, cool, like, and to be honest, that's what you want, right? You want to be different. Collabs are about that, about people wanting to try it. Like I want to try it. I want to see what it's like. And it's just a cool approach when you can do something different, when you can stake claim on something different. And even though they're not overly loud, like, hey, this is an industry first, no one's ever done this, you know, I'm happy to do that for them because it is very much an industry first. It's not something we've seen before. And it's just very cool when when I see that as Stacked, like it's very cool to see pre-workouts come and go, but seeing something stand out like that, I was pretty happy. And coming from My Protein, and they've done it pretty well. They've partnered with candies, movies, characters, pop culture. So it's cool to see it evolve and it result in something as out there and industry first as this. It is available in the UK. Don't believe you can get that anywhere else. Next up, we are jumping to, might do two more. There was one I might leave, but we'll finish off with these last two. And this is actually, I think, a great example of what I was talking about with Dymatize's Energize. Now, if you have a pre-workout in the $20, $30 range, these days, it's what I've always called cost-effective, budget-friendly, whatever you want to say. Some say daily, some say value. It's a pre-workout in the $20, $30 range for 20, 30 servings, right? Less price, solid ingredients for the price. And some days you'd get absolute dog shit pre-workouts for that price, but there's this sort of trend now where we're getting these solid pre-workouts. I think Chris Bumstead and Raw Nutrition's Essential Pre-Workout kind of led the way with that. C4 obviously was the very first to kind of do that sort of cost-effective approach in C4 Sport. And again, Dymatize had it with Energize. At least that's what I kind of thought it was. And so Huge Supplements has done it. So Huge, obviously known for many different categories, predominantly pre-workouts. Their Rect brand has a lot of different versions, Inferno, Extreme, and now they have Rect Core, which is a very straightforward, cost-effective pre-workout. But I will give them props that this is far more cost-effective than I could have imagined. And they hit a price point that just doesn't really even matter, to be honest. So the price on the product is $21.95. Now it's weird because usually they aim for $29.99, $24.99, like $19.99. So Huge is landed at $21.95. It is 20 servings. So if you're going to compare this to, say, a 30 serving, pretty much add 50%. That will take you up to 33. Even at this, so regardless of that, this is still a ridiculously competitive product just purely for what you get at that price. So in the full 2 scoop serving, so there's, sorry, no, I changed that. It's 30 servings, but 15. So yeah, if you're having the max dosages here, calculate this out at 15 servings for $21.95. If you double the dose, this would be 30 servings at, what's that, like 45, or even if you have 20 maximum servings, or you want to calculate the value out of that, that would add a third. That'll take you to like 28, just under $30. Either way, the value is damn good, and the ingredients and dosages are pretty solid. So in a maximum 2 scoop serving, you get 7 grams of straight citrulline, 3.2 beta-alanine, 3 grams of tyrosine, 2.5 betaine, 250 acetylcholine for focus, alongside 200 micrograms of huperzine, and then 300 milligrams of caffeine. Now that is a solid, well-rounded pre-workout. That was kind of what I would have expected from Energize. But again, I think it's more like an amino energy, like marketed as a pre-workout. But 7 grams of citrulline, that's a BC dose. 3.2 beta-alanine, yep, that's about typical. 3 grams of tyrosine. I got to give it up, $21.95 for that. It's a very similar approach. Is it Gorilla Mind, I think, that does 30 serving, 30-15 split, I think. I could be wrong. Don't hold me to that. I swear there's a brand that does that, big dosages, and has that 30-15 split. They're not as cheap as $21.95, but it's still a more cost-effective alternative to their main one. But yeah, damn great value, available now, and that's $21.95 before discount. So during sales, that comes down even better. The last story we have to close out with is the one behind me. And this was a surprise because this one, like typically Sweden is the place where they launch all the products for Barebells. That's where you get most of the new innovations, the different supplements and products. And that's where the ice cream was always. You had it across Scandinavia back when they did ice cream. They don't do it anymore. It was ridiculously delicious. But yet that was typically where you'd see them. You'd see the new flavors in Sweden, new products in Sweden, and then maybe it would go somewhere else, and then like the UK. Lately we have seen the US do it. But additionally, in Germany, I believe there is a selection of protein powders that snuck out, and I didn't even know about this. And this tends to happen if you don't focus on, we try and focus on every market in the world, but sometimes things slip through the cracks, especially in countries where like it's not, English isn't the first language and you just don't know that many people there. So Barebells launched a line of protein powders, and as far as I know, you cannot get these anywhere else. I believe it's Germany, Austria. It's probably the region that distributor or that part of Barebells handles, and it's quite extensive. So there is there's a casein protein, a whey protein, a vegan protein, and then a clear protein. All of them in delicious flavors, including salted milk chocolate for the whey. I think there's 3 flavors for the casein and whey, and then there's singular flavor for the clear and the vegan. But I just did not even hear about this, didn't even see it coming. I believe it's launched quite recently, not like as recent as we do, but it did launch, hit the market more recently. And a pretty interesting angle. While Barebells has done obviously the ice creams, the tubs of ice cream, the ice cream on a stick, they've always remained. I remember they even had the crispy pieces, the crispy balls. I vaguely remember those, but they always remained within the functional world, like the protein snacking, grab and go type thing. This is something else. This is not what I expected to ever see from them, but I really love it because they have, obviously it's a legendary functional company. They have a reputation in taste, and they've brought it to protein powder, a very closely associated category. If you can accept a protein bar, you can accept a protein powder. And I like that they would have probably bought some interest, very similar to what I was talking about with cereal. A bar is a very more acceptable format than a bulk powder supplement in terms of like the overall general audience. And so if they can parlay any of this interest into powders and find success, I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing it in Sweden. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, they're less bulk, more grab and go. I wouldn't be surprised if it just expands to other parts of the world. But the fact they've done it, they allowed it, they're a very tight-knit group, and they've had it out there for a while, I wouldn't be surprised if this goes elsewhere. It's very out of character for them to have something specifically for a country that's not Sweden. They've never had a product that wasn't in Sweden. Like, they've had flavors, but never a product. Off the top of my head, I never recall that happening. You obviously have the chewy protein bar, sub protein bar, original protein bar, fast food, the meal replacement, the delicious meal replacement that's also exclusive currently, and it's only exclusive, but it's started out in Sweden. You have the protein shake, the ice creams again. So this is a first, and it's exciting because I can very much imagine them going from here to other regions with this, and even other categories very closely related, potentially a collagen, maybe even like a flavored creatine I could see them attacking. But the fact that they did a whey, a casein, a clear, and a vegan, like it wasn't just a whey, they weren't just dipping their toes in, they went all out straight from the get-go. It's very intriguing. So you can read about more about them on the site. Very typical formulas, so whey, casein based, macros on point, very typical, but just bears that Barebells reputation and expectation of a great taste. But that'll do it for this episode. That is it. We're wrapping it up there. Second to last episode before Christmas. Thank you for listening as always. All we ask that you do is visit the site every single goddamn day. Make it a New Year's resolution to visit it. Double what you're doing right now. Twice, triple, I don't know, whatever you're doing. That's all we ask. That's all the support we need to you staying informed and keeping up to date with everything that happens. Be sure to share the website with your mom, dad, brother, sister. It's Christmas time. Bring it up on Christmas Day. And for this episode, that is it, and thank you for listening.